The Mars survival problem. We can't bring everything.
Topic preview. Audio and captions begin shortly. The provided infographic details the logistical shift required for human Mars missions by transitioning from Earth-dependent supplies to in-situ resource utilization, ISRU. By extracting oxygen, water, and fuel directly from the Martian atmosphere and soil, explorers can overcome the massive weight penalties associated with transporting all necessary life support from Earth.
Welcome to the debate. Today, we are looking at really the ultimate survival question for a human mission to Mars. Do we drag all of our supplies and fuel with us from Earth, or do we, learn to live off the Martian land? I am firmly in the camp that if we don't build robust, localized power and resource systems, we aren't truly exploring. We are just tethered to Earth on a very long leash.
Right, and I approach this from the standpoint of absolute reliability, because betting human lives on unproven, complex local infrastructure introduces catastrophic risks. So for early missions, maintaining a long-term supply chain from Earth isn't just some conservative fallback, it is a mandatory lifeline.
Yeah, but think about the sheer math of a 480-day surface mission. If we rely entirely on Earth's logistics train, bringing every single drop of water, every breath of oxygen, and all the ascent propellant we need to get home—
Which is a lot of mass.
Exactly. The launch mass just becomes impossible. We have to utilize In-Situ Resource Utilization, or ISRU, by literally pulling resources out of the Martian atmosphere to manufacture consumables locally, powered by advanced solar or compact nuclear. We dramatically slash that launch burden. It's really the only sustainable way to make these long-duration missions a reality.
Well, the math on the launch pad might look great, but you have to weigh that against the risk profile on the surface. Relying on autonomous ISRU plants introduces massive single points of failure. Yes, dragging supplies from Earth is incredibly heavy and, frankly, wildly expensive, but it works. It is proven. If an experimental power grid or a propellant plant breaks down on Mars, the crew is stranded. The required reliability for localized generation just is not there yet to justify cutting that Earth umbilical cord.
Is it not, though? Look at the data from the recent UC Berkeley study from our source material. They mapped out a localized solar power system paired with hydrogen storage for an equatorial settlement, and the whole setup weighs just 8.3 tons. Compare that to the hundreds of tons of propellant and consumables we would have to launch from Earth at hundreds of thousands of dollars per pound. I mean, the efficiency gains of generating power and fuel right there on Mars are just too massive to ignore.
Sure, 8.3 tons for a solar system sounds incredibly efficient on a spreadsheet.
It is solid data.
But it completely glosses over the astronomical power burden needed to actually run the ISRU equipment. To produce enough oxygen just to fuel the ascent vehicle, the models show we need up to 96 kilowatts of electrical power if we use solar, or a continuous 25 kilowatts from nuclear. To put that in perspective, you are talking about trying to run a small industrial plant on a planet famous for global dust storms. You are essentially trading launch mass for a huge probability of system failure.
You bring up the dust storms, which is exactly why fission surface power systems, basically mini nuclear reactors, are such a game changer here. They give us 24/7 reliability, completely immune to those 50-day Martian dust storms that black out the sun. And we already have empirical proof that the resource extraction works. NASA's MOXIE experiment successfully sucked carbon dioxide out of the Martian atmosphere and generated pure oxygen. The core technology to operate autonomously already exists.
Right. MOXIE was a fantastic proof of concept. But how do you bridge the gap between a toaster-sized rover experiment making a few grams of oxygen and an industrial-scale plant that a crew's survival literally depends on? The material explicitly points out that relying on local fuel generation completely strips away our board-to-orbit safety net.
Which is a calculated risk.
A massive one, meaning if something goes wrong during descent or right after landing, the crew cannot just abort and fly back up to the mothership. The fuel isn't waiting for them yet. If the pre-deployed plant failed, or if a global dust storm unexpectedly crippled the solar arrays, exactly like what killed the Opportunity rover, they are stranded. Full stop.
I think we have clearly mapped the boundaries of this challenge today. From my perspective, establishing local power and Martian self-sufficiency isn't just some weight-saving trick. It is the fundamental stepping stone to true planetary autonomy. We have to take that leap eventually.
And I maintain that until that local infrastructure can guarantee absolute, fail-proof reliability, taking that leap is too great a gamble. The logistics train from Earth remains a vital necessity to ensure the crew actually survives that incredibly hostile environment.
It is a staggering engineering challenge either way. Whether we pull our safety net all the way from Earth or push for true Martian self-sufficiency, there is certainly a lot more to unpack in these mission architectures. We will leave it to you, our listeners, to weigh the risks and rewards of these two starkly different paths.
Hi, thanks for watching. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. Bye.